Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here, and welcome to the continuing deep dive into the depths of Shadows of Brimstone. And in this episode, we are continuing our look at the expansions. And here we have our first big box expansion for Forbidden Fortress, and that is Forest of the Dead. And we only have one big box expansion left to look at. And then we'll be moving on to another sector of the game. Probably the mission packs, maybe some enemies and heroes. I'm not quite sure exactly what we're going to do next. But for today's episode, we are looking at Forest of the Dead. I'm not a big fan of this cover. I think the art on the back of the cover of the box is a little better. It's just a little static. There's not a lot of it's not a very dynamic picture. It would be nice if there's a little more, if you could pick up on a little more movement or something. And it's kind of odd because most of the art in this expansion is pretty dang great. But let's see who did the art for this. Box cover art was Corey Hubble again, and the basic illustrators. Like we have a new illustrator. We have Brian Snoddy, Matthew Morgan, Corey Hubble, Marius Gonzel, that's a new name, and Sarah Lindstrom. So a couple new names to add to the art there. So let's read a little bit about the Forests of the Dead. I see like this picture here, I think is way cooler. I like that a lot. I think that looks great, especially with the lantern. But we have, all right, so the Forest of the Dead is a shadowy realm that lies between worlds. It is a place where the dead from all worlds roam freely amongst the ancient and decayed trees. A cold, thick fog hangs in the air, and the gnarled branches gently sway and clack in the fetid breeze. The forest floor is covered in a spongy moss, and the soft black soil beneath hides the countless bones and treasures of untold aeons. It is difficult not to feel utterly alone in the stillness of this woods, but the creatures of the forest know you are here. They are hungry for the fleeting warmth that only life carries, and they desire above all else revenge upon the living. Thematically, I really like this expansion. I think it is really great. It contains some of maybe the best tile art in the entire game. I think the tile art is exceptional in this expansion. It is so evocative of the theme, and you can really feel that the setting. They did a very good job of dialing in on the setting and just the overall atmosphere of this haunted Forest of the Dead in this expansion. And this expansion is also pretty massive. You get the whole other world to explore. You get more of the Forbidden Fortress to explore. You get, like 1, 2, 3 regular enemy groups, and then you get a deluxe enemy expansion. So it is a pretty massive expansion, and one that adds quite a few really great missions. I think the missions in this expansion are especially good. When I first did my Kickstarter for Forbidden Fortress, I just did the base pledge. That's all I usually do is base pledges, and then if I like things, I will add them later. It's kind of the price of information. I don't mind paying a little bit more as long as I know that I'm going to like something. So I didn't do any of the expansions in my base Kickstarter pledge for Forbidden Fortress, and I wanted to read about the expansions more as they were coming out. And as I read more about this expansion and I looked into it, I decided that I really liked it, and so I ended up purchasing it. One thing that it's really funny in this picture here is the picture of one of the enemy models here is unfinished. They forgot to glue on one of the heads to one of the specters. I just noticed that. That is really funny. But here we have our game contents. As you can see, you get quite a bit. We have this overview. The deluxe overworld expansion allows your heroes to explore the haunted forest of the dead, battling undead versions of virtually any enemies you have in your collection, as well as a host of new and terrifying creatures that roam the shadowy woods. So it talks a little bit about your other world, the new map tiles, the new cards, new missions, new enemies. This deluxe Otherworld expansion includes a host of dangerous new enemies to encounter, including 3 large Goryu, savage and animalistic ghouls that shred their prey with beastly ferocity, 3 large spectral hordes, swirling groups of terrifying spirits that drain the life essence from their victims, 6 Nure Onna vampires, slithering serpent women that fight with flashing blades and feed on blood, and 3 shadow wraiths, ghostly specters of fallen heroes that roam the forest seeking revenge of the living. Note that there are 3 different versions of the shadow wraith: lantern, sword, and gun. When building the models, you should build one of each version using 3 different styles of the arm provided. And you also get some 3D models here. For the second time, I guess there was some of that terrain in Tradera, but here you get some 3D trees. And then you're also going to get your regular tokens, some bleeding markers, some poison markers, some webbed markers. A new side bag item is the salts. And let's see, salt here is discard to roll 2 extra dice for a skill test on a keyword ghost encounter, or discard to prevent d6 wounds you are about to take from a keyword ghost enemy attack. So the salt helps you against ghosts, kind of a folklore item there. You do get some of those stat change markers in this expansion. You do get some decaying tree counters. So those are, because you're going to have to set up quite a few of these decaying tree counters on the map, and you might run out of the 3D models. And so if you do, you can use these. I actually like to use these because, I don't know, I always end up knocking stuff like this over while I am playing. Then you also get some shootout markers and some additional encounters. A lot of the additional counters in this game, in this expansion, are used in missions. So that is nice. You have this like overgrown vines or something. I can't remember exactly what it's called. One of the cool things you get in this expansion is this amulet. It is kind of like a little puzzle. And then there is a mission that you can go on to where you can track down each of the 4 pieces of this amulet. And that is a very cool mission. It's one of my favorite missions in all of Shadows of Brimstone. So the missions in this expansion are exceptional. They have definitely been upping their game, and I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do next. The world card for your Forest of the Dead here. It's a shadowy realm. Anytime the hold back the darkness roll is failed, every hero takes 1 horror hit, or 2 horror hits if you are holding the lantern. Heroes with spirit 4 or higher are +1 max grit, but -2 sanity. So I do like how they are slowly introducing more things to do with the stats of the characters, and I wish they would even more fully embrace that. I would like to see more weapons where you have to have a certain strength to use, or more things where you have to have a certain agility or something like that. It makes for the variety in the stats on the heroes have more meaning. Then it does talk a little bit about your barriers and some of your obstacle walls on your map terrain. A little bit about your haunted castle. So the haunted castle is also a new world card for the Forbidden Fortress tile set is included with this expansion, allowing players to venture into a haunted castle. I did not take that out of the box. The world card is used in some of the new missions, but it is also intended to be mixed in with the world stack as a new option when drawing a world card. The Forbidden Fortress Haunted Castle uses the normal Forbidden Fortress world map tile set, artifacts, encounters, etc. It just has a new global effect. So when you're in the Forbidden Fortress, you could be in a haunted version. And if I can read that, let's see, that says that special apparitions, all encounter cards that are keyword active, gain the keyword ghost. Whenever a ghost encounter card is drawn, all heroes take 2 horror hits. And also Braving the Night. Whenever the hero party marker moves onto a blood splatter on the depth track, every hero may recover a grit on a d6 roll of 4 up. Then you also learn a little bit about your realm of death here. The Forest of the Dead is a dark and terrifying place where the dead from across all of time and space roam freely. And the cold fog that hangs in the air is filled with specters that thirst for the taste of the life they once had. They really played up the theme in this expansion. So you have the cold fog, lost souls of the roaming dead. One of the most distinct aspects of the Forest of the Dead world comes in the form of the Otherworld threat cards for lost souls and roaming dead. These cards allow the players to draw a world card and a threat card from the world to attack the heroes as either a ghostly version of those enemies, a lost soul, or a shambling zombie version of those enemies, the roaming dead, with a few special rules. This allows the players to fight any enemies in their collection as undead versions, wandering the haunted forest in search of revenge upon the living. And then it also tells you how to use your decayed trees. And here we have more information on the decayed trees. We have the information here on the Nureona vampires. And they will have different broods. They will have blood vipers, Reptilia Conclave, Medusan Reavers, Sisters of the Night, and the Black Rattle. And there's also a super powerful one that doesn't come with an extra special mini, but you will get a token that you can use to symbolize, and that is the Blood Mistress. Goes over your shootout and ambush rules, which we've all looked at before. You have information about your Shadow Wraiths. The Shadow Wraiths have different relics. They are possessed by different haunted memories. And some of them will be legendary specters. Goes into some detail about some of the pit areas and some of the special status effects, the new side bag token. And then we have our new missions here. So we have a Haunting, Overgrown, Into the Shadow Realm, Specters of the Past. This is a really great mission. I love this mission too. And it does use some of these grave statues. Very cool little tokens there that you can set up on your map. And this is a map that uses a fixed map layout. So Specters of the Past is great, and then this, the Broken Amulet, where you have to track down all 4 pieces of the amulet. But those 2 missions, I think, are 2 of the most kind of exciting and dynamic missions in the whole of Shadows of Brimstone. And then Once a Hero as well. So this is a fantastic piece of art too. Very well done. Again, they really just knocked it out of the park with the theme. With the theming of this expansion. The Forest of the Dead is a dark realm of death and decay that resides in the shadows between worlds, beyond space and time, beyond even the void. The dead from all worlds congregate here amongst the trees and fog, roaming the cursed woods in search of a taste of the life they once had, now forever out of their cold grasp. Learn about the forever night, the crumbling stone ruins in the forest, death across space and time, creatures in the trees, and then you get some lore information on your new enemies, the Goryu, the Nureona vampires, the spectral hordes, and the Shadow Wraiths. And you also get a little set of optional rules, and this is pretty cool. So you can, if a hero in your campaign dies, you can fight them as a legendary specter. It makes the game more difficult, and it tells you how to take that hero and use them in a mission here to make them kind of a mini boss. That is a very cool idea. I love that. Then also tells you about a way that you can use the River of Lost Souls map tile a little differently. Or you can start missions in the mines instead of the fortress. And that's just kind of if you want to just shake things up thematically. And then there is your Otherworld Forest of the Dead depth events track for when you roll doubles on a Hold Back the Darkness roll. So I do want to take a special look at the tiles in this expansion because, like I said, the art is fantastic. I mean, already right off the bat here, you can see just how great the color is. It really pops. So there's your starting tile. I love the in the forest here, you have these retaining walls built out of skulls. Here's your two of your normal rooms. So you're going to get two of these. And then there is the forest side. And then you're going to get two of these rooms for your Forbidden Fortress side, and then the opposite side there. But you can just, it's pretty plain to see that they, in the Forbidden Fortress sets, they seemed to spend more time on the tile art. And then the Forest of the Dead side will have these numbers there, and you're going to roll a d3 and place that many number of tree models or tokens on those spots once you roll a d6 for them. And so that's going to provide some cover and just some different terrain that you have to take care of, that you have to be aware of while you are playing. This tile here is super cool. Something either busted through from the below or down into the depths of the Forbidden Fortress, and there's like a stairwell going down into the depths there. And then the opposite side there is like this well in the forest. They've paid very close attention, I think, to the lighting, especially on that tile. And here we have this kind of just weird staircase. It almost looks like it's warped by some like otherworldly power or something. I love that tile there with that big stone ruin. Here we have some kind of summoning circle or something. On the other side, we have these broken arches. This study looks like they were making some plans of some kind of fortress. Got attacked from the outside. And here we have some of those statues. That tile is just awesome. I love the color and the fog. They did a very good job of just representing how kind of horrific that forest is. And there we have a summoning circle or some kind of symbol of power in the forest there. And then one more tile there. That is the river, this like river of souls that you have to cross. So really well done. I think I could say my favorite tile set in the game. I think it just looks really nice. And so then you're going to have your typical cards. You're going to have your map deck for your Forbidden Fortress. You're going to have your passages, your regular rooms, and then you're going to have a number of rooms that will have your advanced encounters. That was your siege plans. That was where they were making the plans. A table stands at the edge of the room, covered in detailed plans and maps for this area of the fortress. It looks as though someone or something has been studying the layout of the castle. For what purpose, it is difficult to say. Some rotting vegetation, broken defenses, something in the deep. I think this is that one with the hole. Oh no, that's a well. A deep well stands in the center of the room here. Though it appears to have once been covered over, the boards have been burst apart from the inside. Something stirs down in the deep below the castle. The demon mark, the hell crack, and the scattered salt. And then you are also going to get your map cards for the Forest of the Dead, your passages, your 4 non-special rooms, and then a whole bunch of special encounters, dancing lights, death pit. Staring down into the black abyss, your eyes begin to adjust to the lack of light below. You can't quite see the bottom, but you can tell that there's something down there, straining to make out shapes in the dark. You focus on what looks like a twisted mask. When its eyes blink, stumbling backward, you recoil as the shapes in the dark begin to scurry upward toward the light. Decay of time, blood trees, shadowy hole, thorned brambles, undying screams, and the fate of all worlds. I think the writing, the flavor text has also improved quite a bit as the game has progressed. You're going to get a number of different artifacts here. A Wraith Hood, Broken Ankh, Rusty Axe, a Vampire Urn, that's super cool. A Rusty 6-shooter. Enchanted Skull, a Broken Blade, Stone Masks, a Serpent Bow, Cracked Pocket Watch, a Densha Box, a Nureona Satchel, Lonely Spirit, a Parasite, there's another Parasite that you can get, a Spectral Sword, Book of Dark Thoughts, and then you are going to get six new Darkness cards. Rotten Bodies, once again, the art on these is pretty great. Bloody Savagery, Horrors from the Grave, Tortured Souls, Grip of Death, and 2 copies of Grip of Death. Then you will get your normal Forest Encounters. I don't know if they have expanded the Forest Encounters at all yet. I need to look into that. They probably have, but I don't have any of the expansion packs for this set yet. So you only get, I think, about 15 or so. But I'm sure if they haven't, they will. Ghosts in the Fog, Wicked Trees, Bones in the Depth, more Wicked Trees, Forest Spiders, a Cold Fog, the Wall of Skulls, and another Cold Fog. I need to look into that. And then you also get your threats. Now you do get quite a few threat cards, and there are also some in here mixed in from some of the other expansions that do expand the threats. Here you're going to have your Lost Souls and your Roaming Dead. So those are the cards that you would use if you want to bring in other enemies from other expansions that you have to face off against them as either undead or spirits. You have the Bone Eaters here. This is an enemy pack, the Bone Eaters. Then you have your Shadow Wraiths, your Spectral Hordes, your Goryu, the Vampire and Goryu, Shadow Troop. There's your Vampire Warriors, your Stone Lions. That's from another expansion enemy pack. And anything else? Your Scourged Dead and the Charred on Morake. So that is also from a deluxe enemy expansion pack there. And then you do get a ton of plastic in this expansion. All of that gray plastic there comes with it. Most of that being, we've already taken a look at the trees. So these are the little tree minis there. And then you're going to get 4 new enemy types. You will have the Goryu. They are undead myth beasts. I do like these guys. They're pretty chunky. I always like the chunky minis. These guys, I've always had really bad luck fighting these guys. They can be pretty difficult. Beastly Claws and Animalistic Spirits. Critical hits only reduces enemies' defense to 2 rather than 0. And they have a defense of 4 and 8 health. They can be quite difficult to take down, especially when you add 1 or 2 of their elite abilities. There is their brutal side there. And then the vampires here. Now, the one thing I don't like is there's only 1 model for the vampires. It would have been nice just to have a variation, like 3 and 3. You get 6 of these, but they're all 6 are the same. Those, you're going to draw one of these cards when you face off against them for the first time to see which group you are fighting against, either the Sisters of the Night, the Black Rattle, the Blood Vipers, the Reptilia Conclave, or the Medusa Reavers. And each one of those is going to add some certain stats to give them some variety. So you'll kind of never face the same type twice. They have a Draining Bite because they are vampires. They only have a defense of 3 and 7 health. They are very fast in movement. These guys aren't too bad. The Spectral Horde. These guys can really suck. We were fighting some of these at like a posse level 4, I think. So they had quite a few elite abilities. And we had a difficult time with these guys. And that is a great model. They've definitely upped the game in their model department. They have a Terror 1, Spectral. Their combat ability is the enemy's combat is equal to the target spirit plus 2. So the higher your spirit stat, the more deadly they are to you. And then their defense is is equal to the attacker's cunning skill. So again, I like how they are introducing elements where your hero's stats affect the game in other ways. And I hope they continue to do that as the game progresses. And then finally, the kind of the super enemy in this, the deluxe enemy in this is the Shadow Wraith, and you get 3 of them, 1 with a gun, 1 with a sword, and 1 with a lantern. And these guys are totally badass. Relics of Death. Draw a Wraith Relic card for each shadow when it enters play. So let's see here. We have our Wraith Relics. You're going to get your rules for your lantern, the rules for the Shadow Blade, and the rules for the Dead Man's Pistol. They are also going to be haunted by these haunted memories, or possessed by these haunted memories of a last stand, of unfinished business, a lust for power, insatiable greed, and revenge. And then they can also be legendary specters. And here they are the specter of a kind of a legendary hero. Valentina de la Rosa, Constable Ludlow, the Night Watchman, Erasmus Bane, the betrayed gunfighter, Rami Ka, the tainted high priest, Hoki Anno, the demon sorceress, and Shinmo Tanaka, the headless samurai. So just a lot of variety when you're fighting the Shadow Wraiths. A lot of stuff to keep track of too. As the enemies get more complex, so does the bookkeeping. But yeah, so that was Forest of the Dead, a very good expansion. If you have Forbidden Fortress and you did not pick up this expansion, I think it is one that comes recommended. The missions are great. They have a lot of variety. The enemies are interesting and somewhat challenging. And they just did a really good job of honing in and developing the overall theme and atmosphere of this particular expansion. So highly recommended. So all right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this look at Forbidden Fortress, Shadows of Brimstone, the Forest of the Dead. We have one more big box expansion to take a look at, and that will be in the next episode. So take it easy, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.